Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another installment of Jam More Interviews. I'm your host, Josh, aka Jam More. Today I'll be speaking with the voice of Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat 9, an amazingly talented and humble man, Jeff Pilson.
I should be live with you, right?
You are. There you go.
Okay. Hang on. I was told this is a phone interview, so I didn't brush my hair.
All good. Thank you for coming today. It is an absolute honor and a privilege to be able to speaking to you today. Thank you so much for joining. I'm always glad to bring on new people. And thank you so much. While I was looking for cool things to talk to you about, I found out that besides playing bass, you also play guitar, cello, keyboards, and piano. So how did that get started?
Well, I actually started cello first. I started playing cello when I was 11. And I mean, not that I was all that serious about it, but I had a really, the school that I went to had really good public school music education. So anyways, so I started the cello when I was 11, started playing the bass when I was 12. Then I picked up the guitar somewhere along the line just because I wanted to write songs, and you were a little limited on bass and the little keyboard knowledge I had. So picked up guitar, and yeah, I love instruments, so why not?
That's so cool. Speaking of guitar, let me get mine. Mine's right here. Black Mitchell I got for my birthday a year ago. This one right here. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah. Another cool thing I found out about you is before joining the band, Dokken. Am I saying that right? Dokken? Dokken. Before joining the band, Dokken.
Rhymes with rockin'.
You recorded one album with a group called Rock Justice. What was that like?
Well, it was actually a rock opera that was done. I was living in the San Francisco Bay Area, and Marty Ballin from the Jefferson Starship, he and a guy by the name of Bob Heyman wrote a rock opera, and guy by the name of Mike Varney did most of the music for it, and he and I had just started partnering in a band. So that band is the band that ended up recording the soundtrack to that rock opera, and that was my first major label record.
That is so cool. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, Jeff. Sure. I did not know your musical background.
I wouldn't expect you to. That's okay.
But I'm glad that I did, because I've fallen in love with it ever since I started listening to it. You do an amazing job, and I'm really glad that through this research I've been exposed to all the music that you've done and the stuff that you play, and it's really amazing the work that you do. But the first question I have for you is, what's one childhood memory that you would say defines you?
One childhood memory, wow, that defines me. That's a very good question. I would say probably, I think, yeah, that's interesting. Probably the fact that I just really got, I mean, you know what? I know what it is. Okay. Beatles on Ed Sullivan, first appearance on Ed Sullivan. That was such a huge turning point for me that I would have to claim that as being the big moment for me.
Wow. Would you say that was your first like musical experience, like getting interested and intrigued into the musical scene?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay. Well, it leads to my other question is, what attracted you to bass guitar?
What attracted me to bass guitar is probably the fact that I was I used to go around singing this jingle for a local root beer company, and some kids heard me singing on the playground. I mean, it was in 6th grade, and they came up and they said, "Hey, we're starting a band. Do you want to be our singer?" I said, "Sure." And they said, "Hey, we need a bass player too. You want to play bass?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So I had a paper out at the time, so I went out and bought a bass and an amp, $35 each, and I got started, and I just fell in love with bass.
I was thinking about getting into bass guitar, but My first instrument that I wanted was drums. I love drums so much. I could listen to people play drums for like 24 hours in a day.
I gotcha.
But I told my mom I would love to play drums, and she said absolutely not, and bought me a guitar instead. So that's how I got with the guitar. But I love guitar because I love bands like Metallica and Slayer and Linkin Park and stuff like that. So that's what got me into guitar.
Well, cool.
Who are some favorite bass players of yours?
Well, my very favorite of all time was Chris Squire from Yes. Big influence on me. I mean, when I heard Chris, I just wanted to change my playing. Everything changed when he came along. And, plus, Paul McCartney, big influence there. Cliff Williams from AC/DC, John Paul Jones, the usual crop of characters.
Right, yeah, the classics, the greats. Have you gotten to meet some of these bass players? I know that you tour a lot.
Sure. I've gotten to meet, I did get to meet, Chris Squire passed away a few years ago, but yes, I got to know him, which was a very big deal for me. I've never met Paul McCartney, although I rocked out alongside him one time, but I've never met John Paul Jones either. And I never got to meet James Jamerson from Motown, who I loved. But I got to meet Cliff from AC/DC and, plenty of other great guys.
That's amazing. That's what I just love about the music, is that it brings people together, and you could just meet people you never would have met, without music, and that's been such a cool drawing factor of music for me.
Exactly.
I'm going to ask you the main reason I wanted to bring you on. We're going to talk more about the music, of course, later, because you released a LP or an album, Heavy Hitters, if I'm correct.
Yes, you are right.
Heavy Hitters. I listened to that a few hours before we got to the interview. Really awesome stuff you guys got going on there. Great work.
Oh, thank you.
Was that you on the vocals?
Only on one song. Most of the singing is a guy by the name of Will Martin, whose voice is just wonderful, and I really like his voice a lot.
Okay, cool. Which song was that?
Well, Will sings most of them. The only song I sang was It's the End of the World as We Know It, the REM cover. And then Mark Tureen from the Bullet Boys is who sings You Got the Love by Rufus, which I love how that song came out. Really excited about that. Mark did an amazing job. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Will Martin, man. Big fan.
What do you want to do next? Like after this Heavy Hitters, what do you want to do moving forward in your career with music?
All right. Well, the next thing I got coming is I have a project called The End Machine with that on our debut record that came out a couple years ago. It was three of the guys from Dokken, so George Lynch, Mick Brown, and myself, and the singer from Warrant, a guy by the name of Robert Mason. So we have another record coming out April 9th. It's called Phase 2. And the first video or singles just dropped last week. So another single's coming in a couple of weeks. The first one came out. It's called Blood and Money. And another one's coming out at the end of March. And then, like I say, the record's on April 9th.
Can't wait to review that and listen to all the music stuff you got coming out.
Came out really great. We're very, very happy with it.
It's no secret that we're still in the freaking global pandemic. So how have you been keeping sane, and how has the music helped you keep yourself stable in times like this?
Well, music is kind of my life anyways. So basically for me, the pandemic has been a situation where I get to I'm kind of one of the lucky ones. I know a lot of people aren't so lucky. But I get to do my music. I've got this beautiful studio here that I have. And so I just been making music the whole time. And that's why I've gotten a lot of music done during the pandemic. But like I say, I recognize I'm one of the lucky ones, and a lot of people aren't so lucky.
Absolutely. It is a really nice studio. I remember I was watching an interview it did with, I can't remember who it was, and I saw your studio, and my jaw dropped. I was like, look at all this stuff. I just love the equipment and just how stuff can look. You know what I mean? It's just so cool to me. Now, the main reason I brought you on here is we're in the middle of something I came up with called Mortal Kombat March. And it's no secret that you voiced Johnny Cage, one of the main characters in Mortal Kombat 9. My first question
I
about
did.
Mortal Kombat related question is, what was your experience with Mortal Kombat before playing Johnny Cage?
Zippo. Nothing. No clue. Nothing.
So you didn't see you didn't play the arcade games or nothing like that when? Wow. Okay.
I've never been a video game guy, to be honest with you. I just had a voice agent at the time who has since sadly passed away, but she got me into the audition for that, so it was great. Yeah. But I knew nothing about it. Nothing about video games. I still don't know anything about video games.
What characteristics in Johnny Cage do you see in yourself?
Wow, that was years ago, so I don't really remember all that much what Johnny Cage is about, to be honest with you. So I couldn't answer that with any kind of expertise.
What is one memory that stands out for you during those recording sessions?
It was very fun, and I remember at the end they made me do the screaming thing. They just wanted me to scream, to get a bunch of extra effects, and I remember tearing my voice up, but it was really fun, and yeah, just screaming my lungs out. It was great.
Did you get to work with Ed Boon?
Oh, who's that now?
Ed Boon is like one of the lead people. Like, he's the co-creator of Mortal Kombat. He's the reason it's yeah.
No, I don't believe so. I think I just worked with the director, but yeah.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, I don't remember that name.
Oh, okay. Well, you did only get to work on one game, which leads me to a question I've been wondering is, how come you didn't come back for Mortal Kombat X? Because I know a lot of the voice actors carried over from 9 to X. They changed it up for 11, but most of them came over.
I honestly don't know. It probably because, like I say, my agent passed away very soon after I did that, so perhaps nobody knew how to get a hold of me. I don't know.
Right. The new movie is coming out next month in April, and have you seen the trailer for it?
No.
Dang, I should have sent it to you. It's doing numbers. It's the number one rated R-rated trailer of all time. So there's a lot going on from there.
Wow.
So I was just wondering, will you be seeing it? Are you interested in that film at all?
I didn't even know they made any films. So I probably will, actually, now that you mention it. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks really great. I'll definitely send it to you because it's just really fun. It's really updated from the first movie they made in 1996 or 7. I remember is when the first film came out. I love that movie. But one thing that I find really cool about people who do voice acting is that a lot of voice actors tend to go towards music. And my question for you is, what would you say makes voice actors gravitate towards music, or what similarities do you see between singing and voice acting?
Oh, well, I mean, you use your voice to express. So, I think they're very, very similar. In fact, most voice actors I know, they'll tell you that the best warm-up you can do is to sing before you do voiceovers. So, yeah, I mean, they're kind of cousins, aren't they?
Yeah. I remember I was talking to I believe Lex Lang, and he was talking about how there's he was talking about how there's music for your voice, there's sort of a pattern how your voice goes, it can go up and down or high pitch or low pitch and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff that you pay attention to with music. I was watching an interview with Richard Epcar, who did Raiden in Mortal Kombat 9 too. He was talking about how he comes from a drumming background and how that helps with how you have beeps for when you have to record animation and stuff like that. So yeah. I just think it's always interesting to see a ton of voice actors in the music scene.
Oh, that is interesting. Cool.
Would you be open to doing more voice acting roles, or is music sort of your main focus?
Well, music is definitely my main thing, but yeah, of course I'd love to. I think that'd be awesome.
I'd love to hear you in more stuff. Now these are some questions from my friend, and then I'll also ask fan questions because you have a ton of fans in here who are very active, complimenting you, saying you're awesome. They like your beard. You got a very nice beard. Is that a quarantine thing, or have you always like?
Sure is. It's called not cutting your hair forever.
Yeah. This question comes from my friend. He was like, "What is life like on tour?"
Wow. Well, it's the playing part is great. The traveling is very tiring, but it's such a wonderful way. I mean, you don't see the country like, it's not like you go out and can go sightseeing every day, but you do get an opportunity to see the country. And this is a very, very interesting country. It's a very interesting world, so there's that. But really, a lot of it is spent in hotel rooms, frankly, and in venues. And, it's probably not as glamorous as people might think, but there are amazing moments in it. And, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
That's awesome to hear. Another question here was, when did you start your musical journey? So what was your first band or playing an instrument in general?
All right. Well, like I said, I started playing the cello when I was 11. I picked up the bass when I was 12. I wasn't really in any kind. I started playing with people. We moved out west when I was 13, and so I started playing with people then. So I'd say my first bands were when I was about 14. And that really, I knew as soon as I started doing it that that's what I had to do. So, yeah, what can I say? I mean, I've been hooked ever since.
Yeah, awesome. What's it like being a part of Foreigner?
It's great. I mean, it's a very legendary band. There's such a catalog of amazing material. And I was a Foreigner fan, so it's like I get to really hear the music from a fan perspective, and so I think it helps me know what I think people are going to really like. And I am the musical director, so I think that's a good little piece of knowledge in there. I just consider myself very fortunate. Even though we haven't worked in a year, I get to record on my downtime, and then when I go on the road playing this great music with a great bunch of guys. So, pretty lucky fella.
Now, this question is something I've been wanting to ask. You're the first, little fun fact, you're the first musician I've had on since May of last year, and I've always wanted to bring more musicians on, so I'm trying my best to get as many as I can. But the industry, of course, shut down with Corona hit. I was wondering, since I've been looking at the numbers and stuff is starting to grow down, have you been talking to people about doing tours and stuff like that, or have you heard anything?
Yeah. I mean, no, Foreigner already. We have shows booked starting at the end of May, or starting May 19th, actually, in Florida. So, I'm not going to be totally shocked if it doesn't happen, because it depends on things getting continually better. But at this point, we are scheduled to start playing May 19th, and we're off and running.
I'm glad that you guys are going to be back to doing that, because a lot of my favorite artists have, of course, been doing virtual concerts, and it's not the same, it's not the same flair of being there with the loudspeakers blasting in your ears and just a ton of people. It's not the same thing. Cool thing, before Corona hit, I was so mad. I was supposed to go to 4 concerts. It was supposed to be Stain, Disturbed, Slipknot, and I think Breaking Benjamin, I believe, was 4 of them. Those would have been the first concerts I ever got to go to, because I've never been to a concert. It sucks to say, but I've never been before. It was supposed to be my first time. Of course, they got shut down, but something about virtual is just not the same. So I'm glad to hear that stuff is starting to get back to normal on that side. What is your favorite song to play live?
I just don't have one. There's so many songs that I love that nothing is a particular favorite. I love them all. We do a lot of jamming when we play Jukebox Hero, and that's always fun because, I'm a musician. I love to jam. But there's just so many great songs, and you never know. It's different from night to night. Some nights something feels particularly great, and another night something else feels particularly great. That's the beauty of music. It's human.
Music is just the human experience and song. What was it like recording the album Can't Slow Down? Was another question of his.
Well, it was actually a very fun experience, but done mostly, at least, a lot of the record was recorded in hotel rooms because we were on the road at the time. And that's challenging. That can be pretty challenging. But, we have the technology now to do that. I mean, I carry a mobile studio with me that, I can make records with if I need to. So, I've got the technology. I prefer to make them here or in other studios, but yeah, it was done mostly on the road. It was very exciting to do a new Foreigner record with new material with our new singers. So that was great. And I mean, anytime you're working on new material, it's good for the creative bug. It really is.
I love making new stuff and writing stuff down, making videos and stuff. It's so cool just being able to express myself in that way. This question is just because obviously in the music industry, there's going to be a ton of failures and uphill battles. And my question to you is, are some failures that you've experienced that you have come out better for having?
I think at the beginning of the 90s when, melodic rock kind of went out the window and it became alternative rock, and, the phone stopped ringing and everything, I think that was a period where by coming through that, I really fell in love with my instrument again. And I really, I retreated to music, and music was my salvation and my solace through that. And it worked. So I think it taught me the lesson that, just carry on, keep going, stay with what you're passionate about, because eventually it'll work out. And it did.
Yeah, it sure did. What is some advice you would give to people who experience failures? Obviously, everyone is going to experience some sort of failure, a down here, a battle here and then. Yeah. But what would you say to people, or a piece of advice you'd say to them?
I would say that, failures are just opportunities to grow. And so, learn from it, figure out what went wrong, and then stay passionate. If you follow your passions, you kind of can't go wrong. And that's what I think that's the real secret.
Yeah, like this interviews I did was a passion. This was a whole passion project. It wasn't supposed to last this long, and it's been a blessing to be able to do this. Rock isn't as prominent or as big as it used to be. Obviously, it's like rap and country. What would you say to people who say rock and roll is dead? What would be your rebuttal?
Well, I mean, I would say that they've been saying that. They say that periodically ever since rock's been out, but I would say rock is not in the mainstream at the moment, but that doesn't mean it's dead. And you just never know. Somebody is going to come along with something that's rock that's going to all of a sudden be mainstream again. It's just a matter of time. But it's about creativity. I think rock kind of lost a lot of its creative edge for a while there. It got kind of samey, stuff sort of sounded the same. So I think it needs a little bit of a rebirth, but once that happens, somebody will come back and make it just as big as ever.
Absolutely. I can't wait for that day. I'm a huge rock guy. Obviously, I don't know if I could turn my camera. I have Linkin Park stuff all down the side of my room right there. I love metal and stuff like that. And when I see people talking about something like, oh, rock is dead, it'll never come back, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know about that. Yeah. I don't think too much about that. Now we're going to get into the fun part of my interviews that I love to do with my guests, and now get into my final question, and then, of course, fan questions. It's called Weird and Wacky. And it's a 1 minute segment where we have a minute to answer a series of random and weird questions. The title holder is Ben Pendergrass with 13 questions answered. Do you think you could beat Ben?
I don't know. Well, let's find out.
All right. I'm going to start the timer in 3, 2, 1. Longest time period without taking a shower?
3 days.
Favorite album?
Meet the Beatles.
Favorite movie?
Total Recall.
A superpower you wish you had?
Flying.
An instrument you wish you could play more?
Cello.
Would you rather eat 100 bees or eat 100 scorpions?
Bees.
Bad habit you had as a kid?
Had as a kid?
Yeah.
I don't know. Thumb sucking when I was little.
Stupidest thing you did as a kid that you can remember?
Fell off a bike and right onto my face.
Stupidest thing you've done recently. 6. 3.
Fell off my bike
2,
onto my
1.
face.
All right. There you go. You did great, Jeff. You got 9 questions answered. So you didn't quite beat Ben, but you did better than most contestants. So awesome for you. Now, this is my last question. And before I ask that, I just want to say thank you so much. It's been such an honor to begin to speak
my
to
pleasure,
you
man.
And to learn more about
Great, Josh.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for and I just really am really excited to see all the new music you got going on, and I'm just really excited to dive more into that side of stuff. But
awesome.
My final question to you is, what is your current message to the world? Obviously, we're going through a global pandemic. There's a lot of stuff that we see in the news constantly on the daily. What would you say to people who are feeling hopeless and in need of hope?
I would say that you know what? We just got to stop being so divided. There's such a, I mean, there's only one world. There's only one humanity. I just find it incredible. I mean, we can have differences of opinion, but we can't have differences of fact. And I just think that there's a lot of facts missing. So I would say let's return to truth. Let's get a little more united, and let's work out our differences reasonably rather than insanity and craziness. That's what I'd say.
Absolutely. Now I'm gonna ask some fan questions. Ben has anything new happening with Dokken or George Lynch? So fan asks.
George Lynch is involved in the M Machine, so he's on that record that's coming out. No Dokken reunion of any kind talked about right now. Maybe someday, who knows? We'd love to do a final record, I think, but for now, it's just we're all doing our own things, and we'll see what happens from there.
Fan asked, what's next for Foreigner?
Okay, well, like I say, May 19th in Florida, we're playing 2 shows in Orlando, Florida. It's an outdoor venue, which is, I think it's called the Backyard Festival, something like that. So that's Foreigner hitting the road again, May 19th. If cross your fingers, hope all goes well.
Is there anything Jeff wants to do for video games or otherwise, like acting in general?
I'd be open to any acting, but I'm not aware of any. I mean, nobody's offered me anything recently, so but we'll see.
Is Kelly Henson still singing with Foreigner?
Absolutely.
What was the process of recording Ease the State like? Erase the State. Sorry, I don't know why I read it that way.
Well, it was very natural. I mean, it featured Reb Beach on guitar, and that was where Reb and I really kind of connected. And we have a project together called Black Swan that came out with a record in early 2020. And we're going to start writing again for another Black Swan record for 2022. And like I say, that was with guitarist Reb Beach, who was in the band Whitesnake and Winger. And Reb was in Dokken for a little while with me at the end of the 90s. And that's when we connected, and that's when we got our chemistry going.
Nice. A fan asked this. Jeff answered this in the beginning, but who were your bass influences?
Yes. Chris Squire, Paul McCartney, John Paul Jones, Cliff Williams, John Paul. Yeah, I said John Paul Jones. James Jamerson. So those are my favorites, probably.
What's your favorite bass? I guess like modern.
Fender Precision. It's a Fender Precision.
I believe that's it. I think that's all I have for you today, Jeff. Again, thank you so much. It's been such an honor. Love having musicians.
Well, thank you, Josh.
Absolutely. I'll do it again in a heartbeat. Guys, go follow Jeff Pilson.
All right.
Anything you want to plug before you leave?
No, I think I've done my plugging. Just look for the M Machine record on April 9th. It's going to be great. And if you haven't heard Heavy Hitters yet, please go out and get it. We're very proud of it. It's a real fun record, and I think it's a good way to get by the pandemic.
One last question, because I think this is a really good question. Do you have an end goal for your career? Any goals you wish to accomplish?
Yes, I want to write the greatest song in the world. But I'm patient.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Go follow him. Follow me. I'll see you guys on my next interview. Guys, have an amazing day. Peace out, everyone. Bye.
Thank you so much, Josh.
Absolutely. Thank you 1,000 times over.